Okay, the problems in the workbook on chapter 12, leading tone, seventh chords, on page 115, really do challenge us. Okay, this is example C. Okay, so what he wants us to do is resolve each full diminished seventh chord to a minor triad, resolve each half diminished seventh chord to a major triad, plus he wants us to figure out what key these belong to, as well as what position. So there's a lot of steps here. So let's take them one at a time. You'll notice also I have a workspace that I'm going to use for chord spellings. Okay, I might pop out of the picture here, but no big deal. Okay, so what we need to do in order to figure out what key this is, we need to spell the leading tone diminished chord and then figure out, number one, its quality, and then number two, what key it belongs to. Because if it's a half diminished seventh chord, that means it's going to belong to a major key. If it's full diminished, that belongs to a minor key. And then we can figure out what chord it needs to resolve to, analyze the key, figure the position, and complete the exercise. Let's take a look at number 6. Okay, so I have G flat, A, C, and E flat. When I spell that chord as a tertial structure, as a structure of thirds, A, C, here's that chord in root position. You can see it's a stack of thirds. Okay, so what I notice is that the seventh factor is the lowest sounding pitch. Therefore, this is in 4/2 position. Okay. In examining the intervals, I notice that this is a diminished seventh, which makes this a full diminished seventh chord. So this chord belongs to a minor key. Let's write down seventh, full diminished, 4/2. The root factor is an A natural. A natural is the leading tone to B flat minor. B flat minor. Next, I want to spell a B flat minor triad. B flat, D flat, F. B flat, D flat, F. Okay, the chord that we need to resolve is in 4/2 position, which means that the bass needs to go down by step. Okay, so G flat will voice lead down to F, which means that the chord of resolution is a 6/4 position chord. This is because the bass note is the fifth factor of the chord. When it comes to doubling, 6/4 chords require a doubled bass. Okay, so we've successfully resolved the seventh factor down by step. Okay, next we want to identify tritones, augmented fourths, or diminished fifths. There's a diminished fifth found here between A and E flat. There's an augmented fourth found between G flat and C. We should resolve at least one of these tritones and move everything else stepwise. If I move E flat up, the bass is successfully doubled. That leaves B flat and D flat. G flat moves down by step. G flat and C form an augmented fourth. Now remember, augmented fourths need to go out. So D flat is here, and B flat is what's left here. So you can see that the augmented fourth found between this voice and this voice is successfully resolved. The bass is doubled and the chord is resolved properly. Let's take a look at the next example. Going back to my work area, if I respell this chord, if I spell this chord E, G sharp, C sharp, A sharp, I notice that the chord is not in root position. When I reorganize the chord in root position, the spelling of the chord is A sharp, C sharp, E, G sharp. The quality of the seventh is minor. Therefore, this is a half diminished seventh chord, which means that this chord belongs to a major key. The question is, what major key? Well, the root factor is the leading tone. A sharp is the leading tone in the key of B major. So the answer to what key, the key is B. E is the lowest note. E is the fifth factor of this chord. Therefore, this chord is in 4/3 position. So now I not only know what the key is, I know the chord and its position. The chord of resolution is a B major chord. B, D sharp, F sharp. Okay, let's take a look. We know that the seventh factor of this chord needs to go down by step. So we can start there and then resolve the tritones and figure out what the best position is for this chord to be in. The seventh factor is found here. It's a G sharp. Okay, so we're going to take that down by step. That is a tenor voice. F sharp. Okay, next, let's take a look at tritones in this chord. Okay, I have a tritone found here between E and A sharp. Remember that half diminished chords only have one tritone. E, maybe you can hear the noise. Okay, E and A sharp. That means that the tritone is an augmented fourth. Remember, augmented fourths resolve out, just like on the last example. So I'm going to resolve A sharp up and E down. Okay, now the tritone is resolved outwards. Next, double the soprano. The chord that results is in first inversion, 1, 6. One other point to make here is that we notice that the leading tone is in the soprano. When the leading tone is in the soprano, it needs to go up by step. And the reason for this is because the leading tone is used for that reason, to lead upward. And when we lead upward in the soprano with the leading tone, it has the effect of being a leading tone. If we were to leap away from this note, it would lose some of its intrinsic quality. And so we always voice lead up by step. Okay, so this is the gist of how to solve these exercises. A lot of this is just sitting down with pencil and paper and going through the stepwise process and looking for the tritones and doing the resolutions. Next, we will consider dominant and leading tone seventh chords as they progress the tonic.